When was the last time you had a thought that did not come from your church? If you felt guilt just reading that question, keep watching, because what I'm about to show you might change everything you believe about faith, control, and who really owns your mind. Let me be honest with you. I grew up inside the system. I was that guy who never questioned anything. Every Sunday, every prayer meeting, every prophecy, I absorbed it all, and for years, I thought I was free. I thought I was choosing my beliefs, but I was not. I was being programmed, and the scariest part, it never felt like manipulation. That is the genius of it. Religious control does not come with a warning label. It does not announce itself. It creeps into your emotions, your identity, your reality, until you cannot tell where you end and the doctrine begins. So today, I am going to walk you through the 10 techniques that churches use to manipulate your mind without you even noticing. And if you recognize yourself in any of these, do not panic. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Here is how it works. First, they create the guilt. You are born broken. You are a sinner. You are not enough. Your thoughts are corrupt. Your desires are evil. Everything about you needs fixing, and the only place you can get fixed, right here, in this building, with these people, under this authority. Think about it. They diagnose you with a disease you did not know you had, and then they sell you the only cure. It is brilliant, and it is toxic, because once you internalize that guilt, you become dependent. You keep coming back for redemption, again and again, week after week, year after year. This is not theology. This is emotional abuse. It is the same pattern you see in abusive relationships. They break you down, then build you back up just enough so you stay. They make you believe you cannot survive without them, and the moment you start healing, they remind you how broken you are. They break you. Then they offer you the glue, but the glue never works, because the system needs you broken. Now let is talk about leadership. In most churches, the pastor, the prophet, the elder, they are not just teachers, they are the voice of God. And once someone becomes the voice of God, they become untouchable. You cannot question them. You cannot disagree with them, because disagreeing with them is disagreeing with God Himself. This is how moral blindness is installed. If the leader says something cruel, it is called tough love. If they demand money, it is called faith. If they make a mistake, it is called a test. The system protects the leader at all costs, and if you dare to challenge them, you are labeled rebellious, faithless, or demon-possessed. I have seen this destroy families. I have seen people ignore abuse because the abuser had a title. I have watched intelligent, capable adults surrender their critical thinking because someone told them that doubt was sin. And once you accept that framework, you are trapped. Because if questioning authority is rebellion, you will never question authority again. Here is where it gets darker. Churches do not just control what you believe, they control who you connect with. They teach you that people outside the church are dangerous. They are worldly. They are under demonic influence. And if you leave the church, you lose your spiritual covering. You become vulnerable to attack. You lose your protection. This is classic cult behavior. Isolate the members, demonize the outside world, make them afraid to leave, because once someone is isolated, they stop thinking critically. They stop comparing notes. They stop realizing that what they are experiencing is not normal. I remember being told that my non-Christian friends were leading me astray, that I needed to cut them off, that staying close to them would contaminate my faith, and I believed it. I isolated myself, and in that isolation, I became more controllable, because there was no one left to tell me the truth. This one is insidious. Churches do not just teach you what to believe, they rewrite who you are. They change your language, your goals, your priorities, your sense of self, and they do it so gradually you do not even notice. Suddenly, your identity outside the church means nothing. Your career, your education, your personality, they are all secondary. Your real identity is child of God, servant, warrior, vessel, and those identities come with scripts, with rules, with expectations. First, they control what you believe. Then, they control what you feel. And finally, they control who you are. And once they own your identity, they own you. I lost years of my life trying to be the person my church wanted me to be. I suppressed my questions. I ignored my instincts. I became a shell, and I thought I was being holy. But I was just being erased. Let us talk about the worship experience. The lights, the music, the atmosphere, it feels spiritual, right? It feels like the presence of God. But what if I told you it is neuroscience? What if I told you it is designed to put you in a specific emotional state? Repetition, rhythm, volume, crowd dynamics, all of it triggers dopamine. All of it creates a sense of euphoria, of connection, of transcendence. And in that heightened emotional state, you become suggestible, you become open, you become vulnerable. Churches know this. They engineer emotional climaxes. They time the sermon to hit when your defenses are down. They ask for commitments when you are crying. They take offerings when the music is swelling. And you think you are having a spiritual experience, but your brain is just responding to stimuli. You think you had a revelation, but you just responded to the environment. Now here is the weapon they use when guilt is not enough. Fear, hell, demons, curses, spiritual attack. These are not just doctrines, they are tools of control, because the more afraid you are, the more obedient you become. If you leave the church, you will be cursed. If you disobey, demons will attack your family. If you doubt, you will go to hell. It is not faith, it is phobia conditioning. And it works because the threat is invisible. You cannot disprove it. You cannot escape it. You just have to obey. I lived in that fear for years. Every bad thing that happened was evidence that I had displeased God. Every doubt was an invitation for demonic oppression, and the only way to stay safe was to stay in line. But here is the truth. That is not spirituality. That is trauma. Here is where tribalism becomes theology. Your church is not just a church. It is the only true church, the only place where God really moves, the only community with the real revelation. Everyone else? They are deceived, lukewarm, false, lost. This creates a dangerous us versus them mentality. You start believing you are part of the chosen few, the enlightened ones, the remnant, and everyone outside your group becomes the enemy. Even other Christians become suspect, because if you are not with us, you are against God. This is not faith. This is ideological manipulation. It is the same psychology used in political extremism, in cults, in totalitarian movements. Create an in-group, make them feel special, make them feel superior, and they will never leave. Because leaving means losing your specialness, losing your identity as chosen. I used to believe my church had the corner on truth, that we understood things other Christians could not grasp, that we were deeper, more anointed, more faithful. And that pride kept me blind, blind to the control, blind to the abuse, blind to the manipulation happening right in front of me. This is the ultimate mind control technique, teaching people that doubt is sin, that questioning is rebellion, that your own thoughts cannot be trusted. Once you internalize this, you stop thinking critically, you stop analyzing, you stop protecting yourself. Every time a question rises in your mind, guilt follows. Every time something feels wrong, you assume the problem is you. Your heart is deceitful. Your mind is corrupted. Only the church, only the leader, only the doctrine can be trusted. This is how autonomous thinking dies. And when autonomous thinking dies, manipulation lives forever. Because you become incapable of recognizing when you are being used. You blame yourself instead of the system. You doubt your instincts instead of the institution. I was taught that my doubts were spiritual warfare, that the enemy was planting questions in my mind to pull me away from God. So I fought my own thoughts, I suppressed my own intelligence, and I called it faithfulness. Churches do not just promise heaven, they promise healing, prosperity, protection, breakthrough, miracles. But here is the catch. All of it is conditional. You have to obey first. You have to give first. You have to prove your faith first. Then maybe, if God wills it, you will receive. This keeps people trapped for years, decades even, because the promise is always just out of reach. You have not received your breakthrough yet. You need more faith. Still struggling financially. You need to sow more seed. Still sick, you need to repent deeper. The promises are vague enough to never be proven false, and specific enough to keep you hoping. Obey first. Receive later. Maybe. And in the meantime, keep tithing. Keep serving. Keep submitting. Here is the final technique. When something goes wrong in the church, the institution is never blamed. The leader is never at fault. If there is abuse, the victim must have provoked it. If there is financial corruption, you must not understand the full picture. If there is scandal, it is a spiritual attack meant to test your loyalty. This is gaslighting on a systemic level. Reality gets reinterpreted to protect the institution. Facts get twisted to maintain the narrative. And if you point out the inconsistencies, you are the problem. You are divisive. You are being used by the enemy. I watched this happen with my own eyes. I saw abuse covered up. I saw lies defended. I saw good people destroyed for speaking truth, and the system survived because the members chose the group over reality. They chose comfort over conscience. So how do you know if you are being manipulated? Here are the signs. You feel guilt for questioning. You feel fear about leaving. You have isolated yourself from outside perspectives. Your identity is entirely tied to the church. You make decisions based on what the leader says, not what you think. You have given up dreams, relationships, or opportunities because the church told you to, and you cannot imagine life outside the system. If you recognize yourself here, listen carefully. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not faithless. You are waking up, and that awakening, as painful as it is the beginning of freedom. Here is what I need you to understand. Faith does not have to die for you to be free. Spirituality does not have to end for you to reclaim your mind. What needs to die is the control, the manipulation, the fear, the guilt, the systems that use God as a weapon to keep you obedient. Real faith does not need isolation. It does not need fear. It does not need to silence your questions. Because the truth is not afraid of questions. The truth invites investigation. The truth can withstand scrutiny. But manipulation fears questions. Manipulation punishes doubt. Manipulation demands blind obedience. And if your church operates on fear instead of love, on control instead of freedom, on guilt instead of grace, then it is not serving God. It is serving itself. You have a mind. Use it. You have instincts. Trust them. You have autonomy. Reclaim it. Because the most spiritual thing you can do is think for yourself, question everything, and refuse to surrender your mind to anyone who demands you stop thinking. The truth does not fear questions. Manipulation does. So here is my question for you. Have you ever felt manipulated by your church? Have you ever questioned something but felt too guilty to speak up? Have you ever stayed somewhere that felt wrong because you were afraid of what leaving would mean? Leave your answer in the comments below and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next video.